What's up, traders? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Tony Strugar. For those of you who don't know, I'm a funded trader with CK Capital UK, and I'm currently the head trader for a crypto fund here in Australia. But today's video, I'm going to be going over a bit of an update on Bitcoin and Ethereum. Price action's done some pretty cool things since I last did my video a week ago titled Crypto Bros. So if you want to go check out that, you'll see a little bit more of an in-depth analysis on that video. Today, we're going to update on the levels that we're looking at, see how price action reacts to them, and to see what's next in the coming days, over the weekend, and even potentially next week. So without further ado, let's get to the charts. All right, so here we have the daily time frame, and this is Bitcoin, right? So last week we were looking prices around here. So we just had this break above this bearish retracement. So this was obviously a break of structure here on the daily. We had the high, and then we had the lower low breaking this level here, right? We also had the lower high here, but the reason we weren't selling at this point because this red box is a bullish retracement zone on the weekly, based on the weekly retrace, so weekly trending move. So we're not going to be selling in that area, even if the daily is giving us a rejection from this trending move for a bearish daily trending move, right? Maybe you will take some day trades into here, but even those are lower probability trades because you would be shorting into an area that we would more likely see buyers come into, right? So we weren't shorting there, even though we had this breakdown, but we had price come up here and sustain above, right? It's had one good volume day. I'd say this day here was one good volume. These ones tapering off again. So a big narrative that we were talking about on the last video is that the volume has been quite poor over this entire run, right? So just have a look. This is the weekly. You can see from this part here, from the low, which was here, you had a lot of volume. Ever since then, these large spikes have been lower every single time, right? So Bitcoin's volume is quite low. Now, another massive thing we were talking about is the bearish divergence on the RSI, on the weekly as well, by the way. So once we have it outside, once we get a stab inside the outside of the extreme zone, I should say, anywhere from here and above, 70 above is the extreme zone. So when you get your points of bearish divergence, before you can make a play on it, in my opinion, is when you have it, that last stab coming outside of that extreme zone. So these, even though price was making higher highs, right, on these ones, the RSI was making a lower low. So that is a bearish divergence, but it's still in the extreme zone. Once we come in, that's when you get your proper move. And you can see here, that's just in. It's almost just out if we go into here. This one here, right? It's just out, pretty much in, right? But it's either way, it's not considerable that it's inside that, out of the extreme zone. So what we are looking at though now that we've had another higher high on the weekly, we're again seeing a lower high on the RSI, right? It hasn't put in a top here, so we can't say this is a top and that's going to play out. You would like to see, a couple of candles, ideally 3 like here, right? It doesn't have to be 3 candles, but more likely 3 red candles is what we would like to see, but also a shift of structure, even a shift of structure on a daily or something like that before we're going to see this play out. Now you can see here, we're getting close. It's got another higher high. So yes, I was saying that we're more than likely going to see price come up here and make new highs. Have a look at the video. It's labeled Crypto Bros. You'll be able to see that. So we're saying Bitcoin had a lot more strength than Ethereum. We're probably going to see this move up here. And even if we get that high, it's going to be creating bearish divergence on the weekly outside of that extreme zone, which is what I just showed you. Daily, we're not really having it, right? We've had a higher point here compared to this high. Price action did the same as what the RSI did. So that's not weakness on the daily. So weekly is showing that, but daily is not. So what we could possibly get, we could possibly have a little bit of a little bit of a pullback around here, and I'll tell you some levels that I'm looking at, but we probably could have a pullback around here. But then that next move, we'll be looking to see if the daily then also puts in bearish divergence. So what you would want to see in terms of those matching up is if you saw the RSI come back under here and put in a top, but price action putting in another high. That will be your bearish divergence on the daily, and then also RSI inside or outside of the extreme zone, and we've already have it on the weekly as well. So that would not be good for me for what I'd be looking for. If I saw RSI, make another high, if the daily made a high, cool, we could still get more of a run. But remember that weekly RSI bearish divergence is looming, which is where you might get that more larger retracements. Now, what are we targeting now? So I left this on because this is where I left the video. We were looking at this bearish, not bearish, sorry. We were looking at this, it's a daily supply zone where we're going to more likely see sellers come in. Now we didn't, we had a closure above. So it is showing strength, right? So we didn't see the rejection there. We did break above this support and it seems to be holding it right now, but we can now get rid of this because that was the bearish retrace on the daily. And now that we've had the lower high, higher low, higher high, we can now put a bullish retrace on for the daily. Now I want to do this one. So now the new level to be looking for is going to be right about in here. All right. Now I'm going to go daily, center back. Cool. Now this is the level that we're looking at. So what we're going to look for now, if we get this pullback into this zone, we're going to need to then see a shift of structure in here, maybe on the 4 hour, the hourly. Obviously the lower term time frames just gives you a more sporadic view. I'd want to see it on the 4 hour. So what we might potentially see, because we do have a bit of a shift now on the 4 hour. All right. So if we're on the 4 hour now, let's get rid of this. What we might actually see is right now we've got, this is like complete bullish, right? So this will be your 4 hour pivot here, 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 here. Right, can you see every single time price was doing these moves, it's getting lower and lower and the retrace was getting bigger. Here you retrace. Here on your 4 hour retrace, price was coming back to around the 50%, right? Still strong. Here on your retrace, price came and went further past the 618, so went to the 786, lost its steam. This bullish move has lost its steam. Then what do we see on this one? We saw the break. It didn't retrace to the 618 here. This candle in here tried to not fool people, but it tried to make people think, yep, this is the lower high here on the 4 hour. Nice, big, strong, bullish candle on the 4 hour, 4 green candles on the daily, right? But we already were seeing that the steam in this bullish move had already lost it. It lost its steam from this last push. So this high, and I bet you we had RSI divergence. Yeah, we did. You can see here, fucking hell, RSI divergence is amazing. You can see here high, 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 and you can see here high, lower, lower, lower. Not quite in the extreme zone there, right? Not quite, almost. But this was the one that was closer to being back outside of the extreme zone. This is the extreme zone. So that's inside the extreme zone. This is outside the extreme zone in more of the neutral space, right? But we saw the tell. We saw the tell here. So now Bitcoin has put in a break of this structure and now potentially what looks like a lower high. Now you got your retrace, your 4 hour retrace. You want it to be retracing from here in this golden zone in between the 382 and the 618 in order for this to be a strong trending bearish move, because we're in the bearish trend now on the 4 hour, right? So even though we had this bearish trend happening on the 4 hour, right? You can even look down even at lower. Now you saw this here on the, and this is what I was looking at today as well. You saw this here. This is a 1 hour retrace. So we'll get rid of this. For this 1 hour retrace, we had price pop up above here, close back under immediately. That's a great indicator there. A great sign that we're going to get some selling right at that level, right? Couldn't quite sustain up there, bang, back down below. So that's a beautiful sign right there, and part of my strategy as well. So we've seen this retrace. Now what do we happen? The bears or the sellers are in control right now on the lower term timeframes, the hourly and the 4 hourly. What are we going to do? The crypto bros right now are going to be buying here because everyone's saying, oh, buy the dip. Yeah, buy the dip, guys. Oh, buy every dip. Mate, you buy every dip, you'll have no money very very soon. So we're in that bearish retrace on the 4 hour, right? Now, although we have that bearish retrace on the 4 hour, we're going to have strong buying around this level here, the 382 on the daily and the 618. So if we now get price to then continue this bearish move, right? In here, you might have some fuckery like this. All right, this will be good. And then if we have a little liquidity grab to a demand zone down here, all right, and then it comes up like this, puts in the reversal pattern, puts trend back in our side, that can be your sign to get back in. Obviously other things as well, looking at some bullish divergence, things like that. But I believe we're going to have a bit of a retrace now, coming back into this daily retrace zone, right? I'm not saying it's going to look exactly like that, but I do believe we're going to get a bit of a pullback in here, but I don't think this is going to be the top just yet. I'm only going to say we're at a top is if we start to close, go ahead and close the daily under here, not just one candle, but a couple of candles doing this, and then it comes up, people are going to be like, yeah, cool, we've had our low, but we've lost steam on that bullish trend on the daily, right? So the odds are more highly likely now for it to be, okay, we might potentially put in another lower high now and get a further retrace and then see if it picks up down here. So you can't really use or say you've got a crystal ball and you're going to predict things to happen. You got to wait and see what price tells you. And all different participants are coming in the market at all different times. There's always new headlines, new announcements, Fed rate cuts, everything comes in, and that sometimes can negate what you're looking at on the technicals as well. Generally, the technicals are the indicator that you want to be looking at, and the fundamentals you'll just match with that. Well, that's what it's like for me. But you can't just blindly say, yep, this is what it's going to do. It's going to put in a shift of structure and we're going to get the move up here. No, it could do anything. But we are more bullish at the moment because we're trading above this level on the daily. If you want to look at hourly timeframes, 30-minute timeframes, yeah, cool. There's some opportunities to sell. There was an opportunity to sell here today, right? But that doesn't mean, I'm doing these videos more to be talking about more of a, not a macro outlook, but just a more of a daily, weekly kind of outlook on prices, right? So I do think we're going to get a test in here. And this is the thing, we've got this trend line. Things like this could happen where we've got this trend line coming in. We could get price come in here. It could just hover in here. Then it could wick down into here. That could be the time that it has. So we could get literally sideways up until December. You never know, right? You never know. So we just got to play, what does price do when it reaches these levels? So that's what I'm looking at for Bitcoin, right? Now, I'm just having a look. Anything else I wanted to talk about with Bitcoin? No, cool. Let's get on to Ethereum. I don't want to make this video super duper long. All right, so if we're on Ethereum right now, this is where we left off Ethereum. So we said Ethereum was not as strong, right? So we were looking at, we didn't have this. We had this. We had this bearish retrace on Ethereum, because Ethereum broke structure as well. So what we're looking at seeing how price now bounces off this level if it's rejected at this level. Now, I've got the weekly 2360. So this is already, rather than this just being the buy zone for the weekly, a very strong trendy move as if on a weekly retrace. If the retrace only comes back to the 236, which is this dotted line level here, and funnily enough, this dotted line level here for the weekly 236 lines up perfectly to the wicks of these highs. So this is this bullish retrace on the weekly. And I can show you these. Oh, wrong one. I can show you this. Right? This is the 236 here. I just got a dotted line on it because I don't want to have all these other fibs on here. So that's the level. So price on Ethereum, wick down below, closed above. We had the nice move up. So that's a bullish move for the technicals on Ethereum, right? On the weekly, right? So it's bullish on the weekly, bearish on the daily, not so bearish anymore, but it was because we had the break of structure and we now haven't rolled over at the ideal rollover zone for the sellers to be in control. We're now closing multiple candles above, right? So now we need to think, okay, well, it looks like it's put in a bit of a top, and I believe it has put in a bit of a local top. What are we going to do now? So let's get a retrace from here to here. Now this is our golden zone that we want to be looking at on the daily. All right, this is the level we're going to be looking at. Now let me just mark this off properly, get these on as I like it. Oh man, that's not the one I wanted. All right, daily zone, cool. So we're going to get price. I do believe we could bounce up from here, but this is highly probable area where we're going to get more buyers come into. So it looks like we're definitely selling off here. All right, that's on the 4 hour. We've had that 4 hour uptrend. Bang, we've had a shift of structure. So we've had a break of structure on the 4 hour. Now we need to put in a lower high on the 4 hour now. We don't have a lower high. We have a higher high and a lower low. So it's not a full 4 hour shift of structure. So high, low. So high, lower high, lower low. What we need now is a lower high and a lower low. Then we've got a proper 4 hour bearish trend happening, right? So I do think that's going to happen. Now, we could, just like we looked at a Bitcoin, get this out of the way a bit more. We could get something like this, where it maybe bumps up a bit higher. Then we get the lower high, comes back down here, you know, finds one of these demand zones. It could even wick down to here, shift back up, put in the shift of structure, and then we're back looking bullish again. But it's in a little bit of, I do believe it's in a little bit of a consolidation now on some of in the next couple of days, perhaps the weekend. We could have some spikes, we could have some wicks up here, but I do think we're going to come back and test this area this area for those who want to look at it, so around the 4,400 all the way down to 4,200. So we could get price just consolidating in here. Now these fib levels matches up with all these levels, right? All these levels it's matching up with. So a very highly probable area that we're going to have some bounces at. Do you just buy in here? You know, if you're a crypto bro, you do. If if you just think, oh, buy the dip, then yeah, that's what you do. But you get wrecked if you do that. You know, what you want to do is you wait for that change of structure. Because what happens here, if you go, oh, cool, I'll buy right here. Yeah, that could be the right move. That could be a beautiful buy, and price could then just do this. Right? It could do that. But you got lucky. You're not waiting, right? Trying to catch a wick, catch a falling knife is not the smartest way in terms of preserving your capital. Because what it could just continue to go, cool. Oh yeah, I got the low. I got the low. I got the low. No, you didn't, bro. That's the low. Right? Let's wait for the shift of structure. Wait for the market to show us strength again, rather than just going, well, this is the area that bulls are more than likely going to come into play. The buyers are going to come in here. Let's wait until they actually do come in here, right? Let's wait until they do that. And then you can make a play. Because if you buy here, you're going to be underwater. I don't know how much you've gone in, whether you're leveraged, where's your stop loss going to be. You could get taken out your stop loss here. and then go, ah, shit, 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 miss this, miss this, miss this. Just wait for the move. Like I said on my last video, got to be patient. Like I'm a trader first and foremost. I'm not here to do long-term investing. You know, as much. Obviously, that is important. That is part of my plan. But my core role and duty is to trade the fluctuations in the market, right? If you're making long-term bullish moves, you probably would have already been in right now, and you're still holding in here. You would have bought well down here, right? You probably would have bought in here because you had the bearish move, lower high, high low, bang. That would have been your place. That would have been a very nice place to buy in. So then you're not buying up here. You can add to your position up here, but the majority of your move should have come all the way down here. The majority of your investment, should have come all the way down here. In my eyes, this is not financial advice at all. But yeah, adding to these positions, to your long-term positions, you're not doing that on the 4-hour time frame, in my opinion. So I would want to be waiting for the market to be telling me it's going to be changing around before getting in to go long again. And that's exactly what could happen. We need to wait for the price to tell us, right? So I do think we're going to get a little bit of a pullback, see how price handles this area. If it does, and just like what I just had here, let's get that back. Let's say price does do that, right? And then you got that broken past the strength area on that trendy move. You're then going to be seeing a downtrend on the 4-hour, right? Wow, isn't that funny how that just lined up? That's crazy. So you would then, before you want to see some real strength, you want to get on this reversal, this trend reversal, but you got to be expecting some kind of selling pressure from this level again. It's only then, once you start to get above here and consolidating, you can then really have confidence in, okay, we've now entered more strength. There's more buyers in the market right now, so let's buy. You buy strength, you don't buy weakness. And when you're in a downtrend, that's buying weakness. You buy uptrends, right? So yeah, so even if this does do that, then we're going to have some work to do in order for us to regain, because it could do this and then go, okay, well, now I'm going to put in another lower high and I am going to make my full move down. We just got to wait and see what price action tells us. And what it's telling me right now is we're going to wait and see how price handles this area at 4,400 to 4,200. I'm going to leave it at there. Hopefully this has been something that you've found valuable. Put in the comments what you think Ethereum's going to do, what you think Bitcoin's going to do, if you got in, where you got in. I'd love to hear about. I'd love to hear, how you guys are trading the markets. But if there's any coins that you want me to have a look at, you want me to do an analysis on, please put it in the comments. I'd love to look at it, and in my next video, I'll go over it. But I'll be back in a couple of days, probably on Monday after we have the weekend price action, and see where we are. So we can always be looking at what we've been looking at, how price handles these areas, and how I'm going to be trading it myself as well. So I hope you've enjoyed it. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you again soon. Have a good weekend, guys.